tasty little crumpets. My next guest is an expert on sex, relationships and addiction issues and can be heard on the nationally syndicated radio show Loveline. He also hosts the Discovery Health Network show Strictly Sex with Dr. Drew. Please welcome Dr. Drew Pinsky, everybody. Doctor.
Yes, sir.
Doctor, welcome. It's so difficult to get a doctor to make a house call these days.
Here we are.
Thank you very much for being a doctor. Hey, I got to ask you right away. You're an expert on sex, addictive behaviour.
That new life partner of yours, he'll be fine.
Oh, Jason. Well, we're going to go on a killing spree and see how that works out. And then if that works, then we'll get into a relationship.
Okay.
Talking about mad people.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on the Michael Jackson verdict today?
You know, I was surprised. I actually had sort of positive feelings about it. I thought I'd be disturbed if he gets acquitted, but a couple things that stood out for me. One was it sends a message to people that sue all the time. It's like, hey, eventually people are not going to sit for that, not going to listen to you.
Right. Right.
I like that. Secondly, maybe Michael learned something. Maybe he'll sort of take care of his mental health, do something. And the other thing, have you seen the jurors? They're fantastic. You guys see any interviews with them? They're just wonderful, rich, thoughtful people. I appreciate the fact that it looks like our system is working.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think it's okay? I mean, because he's quite open that he was a...
those are all boundary problems. And that's the other thing. Maybe we have a discussion about the fact that when people start violating boundaries in their home, in the workplace, there's a slide into trouble almost without exception.
Well, what's the difference between a boundary problem...
You and Jason, that's a boundary problem. You see?
What's the difference between a boundary problem and abuse? When do you cross that line?
Abuse is when somebody else doesn't exist to you, when you're exploiting them, when you don't have any empathic concerns for them at all, and they feel powerless.
And they feel powerless. So then a grown man having kids in a bed with him is...
It's not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
Wouldn't recommend it. I'm not saying it's okay. If I had a patient doing that, I would be discussing it with him in the most aggressive terms.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he abused. I mean, those are all legal issues. I mean, from a medical standpoint, Michael needs some work. I mean, he really...
I think he's... I think he's had a little bit of work. I just think he's had the wrong thing worked on.
Wrong kind of work.
A different type of inside work.
Well, you know, it was public knowledge. Well, it was public knowledge that he was an opiate addict. He went for treatment for opiate addiction in London.
That's right. Yeah, I remember
opiate
that.
addiction is a chronic illness. It does not go away. I mean, that's something you have to be actively engaged in recovery to get through. I've not heard that he's going to meetings.
Well, you wouldn't. I mean, I think meetings are meant to be anonymous. I don't know, but the
just saying.
I don't know.
I'm with you.
But is it a genetic thing then?
There's no doubt. Yeah, alcoholism addiction is a genetic disorder. In fact, we've isolated some of the genes. There's a very slight substitution in a thing called the GABA A receptor, an abnormality in something called the serotonin transporter. If you have both those genes, 100% probability of alcoholism. I'll tell you, if you yourself have alcoholism in your family, or particularly sons of alcoholic fathers, if you are the guy that can drink your friends under the table, you're the alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's me. Obviously, I have concerns about this because I have a son. He's 4 years old. He's not drinking anybody under the table.
I have a great little interesting theory about alcohol. You know, people don't know my professional life. I treat alcoholics and addicts all day long.
Right.
And I love working with alcoholic addicts. I actually think it's a...
You crazy bastard.
In a way, I guess I am. But I actually think it's a more evolved form of the human being.
Evolved form?
Listen to my theory.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's that if you look at the populations where this gene is most prevalent and most intense, where do you see it? On the globe.
Right.
Scottish, Irish, Central Europe, North American Indians. And what do these populations have in common except repeated intergenerational assaults, like genocidal assaults?
Right.
And so the people that survive, I mean, in Braveheart, this is the movie, it's sort of portrayed accurately. The people, 10,000 guys go into battle, 3 guys survive. The alcoholics. 3 alcoholics survive. And it's funny, but those people, that's a survivor gene, and in extreme adversity, it has only positive attributes. But
can I just put another spin on it? That maybe there might not have been a battle if everybody wasn't drunk.
I actually think that maybe I don't know. I wasn't there, you know. But I really do think, if you look at the population, you asked about your son, in sort of Scottish heritage, Celtic heritage, it's about 50% per child that you'd get that gene. Now, gene does not mean destiny, right?
No, there's information you can...
you learn to, although I got to tell you, when I first was working in this field and I discovered the genetic heritage, I started wanting to educate young people. I thought, we're going to take care of this problem. Right. And all the young people I dealt with said, well, if I'm so screwed up already, I might as well have a good time.
Ah.
That's that.
See, that's the thing that, I mean, there is this kind of weird thing about but I mean, I was a blackout drunk for a long time. I was an alcoholic, and still am. Still am. But I've kind of retired from that part of it. You know, it's portrayed as
They love the fact that you got an illness. This audience laughs at the weirdest stuff.
Oh, I know. Tell them your height. They'll give you a standing ovation.
6 feet, half inch.
Hey!
They're well-trained group, I gotta tell you.
But I think alcoholism is kind of, there's all that jokey stuff that you hear guys go, oh, I know a little bit about alcoholism. I get drunk every time I wanna. And you think, no, you don't know anything about alcoholism. Wake up in your own crap every morning, then you're beginning to get the idea, you know. You know, you think it's kind of portrayed as kind of, it's still not embraced as a
disease.
That's
absolutely right. And as somebody who works in this field all the time, it's bizarre that it's not, because it is like any other illness. It has a genetic basis, has environmental influences, it has an abnormal physiology in the brain, and it has a natural history and a treatment. That's disease.
But what's interesting about it is that everyone thinks they're an expert on it.
Well, it's amazing. Yeah,
you know, it's like I'm a DJ, so I know about alcohol.
Right. Everyone thinks they're an expert on drugs because they've used drugs. Everyone thinks they're a doctor because they have a body. It's like just not the case.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's very unpleasant.
Damn straight, my friend. I wish we had more time, Doctor. Will you please come back and join us again? I'd love to have you come back. Dr. Drew, everybody. We'll be right back with Midlake.
Tomorrow on The Late Late Show, Skeet Ulrich.